Finally, the last tab in the patient demographics is the Customs tab. Now you can see up at the top I've got some custom tabs. They're not available because I don't have a patient selected. To do so, I can click up in this box and type in the first couple of letters of the patient's last name, hit the tab key, we get our pop-up, I can click OK, and then it pulls all the information for Carrie Heffernan, if she has any. And you can see my custom tabs are up along the top. Now, because yours is a new office key, you won't have any custom tabs. First, we have to go into the custom tab setup and either choose some of the defaults that AdvancedMD has already created for us, like, for example, the medication tab is one that AdvancedMD created. I just simply said yes, I would like to see it in the custom tabs here. The other 4 tabs you see up at the top are the ones that I created. But first, the medications. You can see the number 2, so I have 2 line items that I entered in on Carrie, which could be on different dates. All I have to do is select the first one, and you can see that the user that created was me, Kirt, and then the date that I created it. Also, you can use the scroll bar here to scroll over to see everything or anything that's left in that line item. Or if you don't want to scroll over, you can always select the option here or the next line item and it will populate all the fields down below. Now, up at the top, like I said, I created my own and I was messing around. I mean, for example, like on the name tab, I basically typed in whatever name I wanted to, and I'm keeping track of Carrie's allergies. Like the first time she came in, she was allergic to metal, then the next one was nuts. If I want to add more, I can go ahead and click clear, and then of course I set this up that the only option she has is bread, milk, and nuts. So let's say the next one is bread, and then I could also create another box where I don't have to have a drop down and I can type in. So that gives you flexibility if you don't want drop downs. And also you do have ellipsis buttons. For example, when you click on them, it gives you a list of, well, the fields that I have entered in so far for allergies like Zantac or morphine. Double click on Zantac and then simply click Save. When you save it, it adds it over to the left-hand side as a line item, and again you can select it to either populate the fields, make any changes you want, and then of course always save when you're ready to update those changes. Have a report on them, it opens up, just simply click Generate and it will pull a report for all the information on that tab. And you can see, if I expand it here, that I've got the 3 line items that you see here in the report that I can print off or export it to Excel, as you see here in the tab. 2 more things to keep in mind before I show you how to set this up. First of all is that you can see I've got a bunch of tabs here. Now, there will be times that when I pull up other patients, not every patient's going to have allergies, so maybe I don't want to always have it populated. Maybe it's redundant or useless to have this tab always show up. What I can do is I can hide this tab, the Name tab, or the Vitals tab, or any of the tabs, and then when I'm ready for it, I can simply come over here and click the Add Tab button. And as you can see when I click it, I already have a few tabs that are already hidden because I don't use diabetes all the time. So if I pull up Carrie and all of a sudden today we're dealing with diabetes, I can double click on diabetes, it pulls up the tab, and then I can go ahead and type in some information, check the box, and again I'm typing in whatever I want, so obviously this isn't something you would do, but you get the point. You can check it, type in something, whatever your fields require that you want them to require. In fact, that little asterisk here says it's a required field. If I don't type in something here and I delete it and I try to save it, it says it's required, so please type something in. Now the neat thing about this is when I save it, now remember this was a hidden tab where I had to click on Add Tabs to add it. The moment I add it and I type something in, anytime I pull up Carrie, it'll always pull up the Diabetes tab because it already has data in it. If I decided today not to add anything, or let's say I delete all the information because the default it's a hidden tab, if there's no records on this tab, it won't pull up at all. So for the patients who do have records, it'll automatically pull. For those who don't, it'll be not available here unless of course I click on Add Tab again. Now keeping that in mind, let's go ahead and set this up. To do so, go under the Master Files menu, down to Custom tab, and then over and click on Custom Patient tabs. This screen is basically divided into 2 sections. You have your top section, which has a list of all the tabs that are available for you to use. And then the bottom section is your workbench. It's where you're going to go ahead and either edit those tabs or create your own and add fields to them, custom fields, which we'll go over in a minute. But first of all, to give you a quick overview of the top section, in the code column, you'll see those that have pound signs and those that don't. The one with the pound signs means that AdvancedMD has created it for you as a default, and you can use those or not, or in fact even delete them if you'd like. And then the ones without the pound signs are the ones that I created. The tab name column is the name of the tab, like medication, and then you have the fields that are available in the medications tab for you to use. The list view column basically means that you want to add more than just one record, and for medications that would make sense to me, because if the patient comes in today, I want to have a record for the medications prescribed, and then also a different record for tomorrow if I prescribe any medications tomorrow. The patient tab column and the face sheet column. The patient tab is for those tabs you want made available in the patient demographics. Now, if you purchase the add-on module, the EMR, you'll get, well, a face sheet column that you can make those tabs also available in the EMR module. Of course, if it's blank, it means that the tab is not available. Now, I've got quite a few tabs here, if you can see me scroll through there. And if I go back to the custom tab in the patient demographics, I only have 5. It's because I don't have all of them available. I only have made some of them available. Which brings the next point, is that if I want to make them available, I'll have a dude plus. That means that that tab is always going to be available no matter whatever patient I pull up. Of course, in EMR it's a happy face plus. Now if you just have a dude or a happy face that don't have any plus signs, it means the tab is sitting there waiting for you to add it. For example, you can see here it's a task tab. When I go back to the patient demographics, there's no task tab here, but again I can click on the Add Tab button and there's the task. Double click, it adds the task here. And then I can go ahead and type in the instructions, anything or for any purpose I use that tab for. Now if I don't type anything in here and there are 0 records for a task tab that I said in the custom tab setup that I don't always want it available, if I don't have any records here and then I close out and come back in here, it's not going to be available. If I do add records, it'll always be available for that patient, Carrie Heffernan. Because keep in mind, not every patient you always want to have all these tabs always showing. So again, back here, you can pick and choose those options, which we'll go over in just a second here. The last column is the mail merge column. Now, to help understand what we're about to cover next, you want to make sure that you watch the patient mail merge video and also the patient document template setup video. Go ahead and watch those and then come back here so you can have an understanding of what I'm about to cover next. Now the mail merge, basically to oversimplify it, means that you want to take records and pull them to a report so you can go ahead and print them out. That's all that means. This little envelope here means that this tab, the medication tab, is, well, we'll say ready to pull in to mail merge, because the thing is in these tabs you have all these different fields. What if I didn't want to pull all these fields into a report? For example, I'll click on it and select it, and down below it populates all the fields. And you can see down below it's got a merge field, and none of them right now are going to be pulling it into any reports. But the tab is set up to pull it in. So in other words, you got to have the tab set up with the little envelope here, or this box checked, include a mail merge, and you have to define what fields you want to pull in the mail merge. For example, I'll highlight the generic. Now, is the medication generic, yes or no? I can go ahead and click Edit, check, and again I want to check here, include a mail merge, and then click OK. And then it adds this little code here. C is for AdvancedMD, their coding. The meds is the actual name of the code, and you can see up here meds is the code, and then generic is the name of the field, as you can see over here. So right now, even though the tab is set up to pull in mail merge, it's only going to pull in this specific field, and then the rest are not going to pull in. So when I'm done, of course I can go to these other fields and check the boxes as well, but for simplicity here I'll just go ahead and click Save and say I just want to pull in this one into as a mail merge. Now, to show you an example of how this is going to work, it's going to be really simple here, but it'll take quite a few steps. What I want to do is I want to go and pull up my patient document template. That's why I wanted to make sure you saw the video before you actually started setting up these custom tabs. And then I click on Patient Document Template. Now, I've already created the patient document here. It's called the patient form. And I'll double click on it and I'll show you what it looks like. You can see here this is a form I'm creating for the doctor. So when I'm not editing it, the doctor can pull it up on each patient, and it'll have a drop-down list of what allergies they have, if they were hospitalized, and they can check the boxes. But right now I can't check them because it's in edit mode. And the reason why it's in edit mode because I want to add my merge field. On the keyboard, go ahead and hold down the Alt key and hit the letter S at the same time to pull up your merge fields is that you want to scroll until you find the PTs, which is the prefix for patient, and then I'm going to double click on patient full name to add the patient's full name. And then I'll hit enter, do Alt S again, and then maybe below the patient name I will also want today's date. Double click on that. And then down below I'll hit enter a couple of times, and let's say I want the doctor's name as well. So Alt S, provider's full name, PROV, double click. And then there's one merge field that we just allowed in our custom patient tab, which is, if you remember, was the generic, whether they took generic medication or not. I'm going to hit enter here, and then Alt S, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom because that's where all your custom merge fields are. And then there's my meds, generic, double click on it. So as you can see, it's going to pull in yes or no once I merge the field, and I need to know what the heck it is, so it's referring to generic. Yes, generic meds, or no. Now when I'm finished, I'll go ahead and I'll lock or protect the form. I'll click Save. I'll close out of here. Now I just created, or I've edited the patient form in the document templates. I'm going to go back to the patient in the patient demographics, which is Carrie. And it can be any patient I want, but for the sake of time here, we can go ahead and click New. And then the template, remember, was the patient form, so I'm going to click the ellipsis button and then double click on the patient form. And the cool thing about it is I'm not editing it now, I'm actually running it. I'm the doctor, I've got my computer here, I'm seeing the patient. I click OK, and it's going to pull up a copy of the patient template form that allows me as the doctor to write over it and type in whatever I want and see the merge fields there as well. As you can see here, really cool. It's got Carrie Heffernan, it's got today's date, generic meds, yes, and it pulls in the most recent data. So I can go ahead and select yes or no, check that the right eye is infected, and then also tab down and type in anything else. And then when I'm done, all I have to do is click Save. When I click Save as a doctor, I'm basically done. All I have to do is type in maybe the nature of this visit, and if I don't, I can leave it as a default. It says the patient form was used, the chart number is 17, the last 3 letters of the patient's last name, which is Heffernan, the first 2 letters is Carrie, and then today's date. And of course, again, I can say the nature of this visit was allergies, type in whatever I want. And then remember, if you have EMR, you'll get these 2 options here. If you don't, you only get the billing and miscellaneous. And I will say it's an unspecified by double clicking on it and click OK. It uploads the form, pulls me back into the document here. I'll close out. And I don't need to save it because I just did, so I'll say no. And then you can see it's right here, allergies. And then if I want to take a look at it, just go ahead and double click on it, and it will pull it back up anytime that anybody else, the doctor or whoever has access to the chart files, can see what the doctor did. Now, having showed you that, we can go back to the custom tabs and see how important it is to have the mail merge field if you want to pull in those fields into your patient documents so the doctor can quickly fill it out, and or reports.